When you look at this trade between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Philadelphia 76ers, right off the bat, it finally ends the nightmare and chaos for the Timberwolves. But let's look at this from the Philadelphia 76ers perspective for just a minute. The Sixers were off to an okay start, not great. They were expected to compete for an Eastern Conference title this year, but the one thing, just after 13 games that was missing from that roster was the kind of all-star perimeter player like a Jimmy Butler. And now that they have Jimmy Butler, this gives the Sixers an all-star who can play both ends of the court. He's an all-defensive player. He's an all-NBA player. And he'll also be able to spread the floor a little bit for the Sixers to give them some much-needed three-point shooting. So if this trade works out from here to the rest of the season, this should make the Sixers one of the teams that should and will compete for the Eastern Conference Championship. When you look at which team won this trade, I'm always reluctant to pick a winner right in the moment, because if we look back when Minnesota acquired Jimmy Butler in a trade with the Chicago Bulls, we all said that the Minnesota Timberwolves won that trade hands down. The one thing I need to see is how Jimmy Butler fits within this roster that the Sixers have constructed. He does have a straightforward, direct, at times abrasive personality. How does that impact the rest of that Sixers locker room? For Minnesota's perspective, they needed to do something. This trade demand that Jimmy Butler made at the beginning of training camp has put this team in a chaotic, dysfunctional situation, and they needed to do something to ease that tension there. Let's just take a look real quick at the players that Minnesota got in return. Dario Saric is still a young, talented player. Robert Covington has turned into one of the very successful undrafted free agents in this league. He's another two-way player, can shoot the three, one of those 3-and-D players that teams covet. Again, they'll be able to fit in with that Timberwolves roster. In Minnesota, when they were searching for a deal for Jimmy Butler, they were not looking for future draft picks. They wanted players who could come in and help this team now, and that's what they got in Dario Saric, Robert Covington, and they also got a future second-round pick out of it as well.